So someone sent me another one of these 4 terabyte hard drives this time instead of the 5 terabyte. And it seems like it's even cheaper this time. It seems like it's a similar setup. They're throwing in PC games, everything from PS3 all the way down to Atari. And it's everything I tried ran just fine. So I was actually kind of impressed. Here's the PC games that are included. But in the prior screen, you saw a big box. It comes with Launchbox. You can buy your own license for it. And then there's going to be Retro Bat installed as well. Nintendo 64 runs great. PlayStation 1, 2, and 3. Gamecube, Wii U. The list goes on and on. So in this video, we're going to have a peek at this. There were some things that were very similar, and then there was other things where there was a difference. They obviously had to shed a couple pounds off this thing, lose some weight, but we're going to start with Retro Bat, then go into Launchbox, and then finish off with what I thought, what you're actually buying, what is the hard drive, all that other stuff. So stay tuned. All right, so here you have it, 49,287 games. You can add favorites here to clean this up and just play the games you want to play. I'm going to get back to this Retro Bat file here in a second. It's pretty cool. But let's go ahead and get started. These first through couple Amstrad GX 4000. You can see you got 2,900 games there, 25 games here. The game number you'll see on your screen right below the system name on the left side, Apple II 473. But here you go. Final Burn Neo and MAME. This is going to be the bulk of your arcade games. Now you can hit the triggers on your controller and jump around to different games, or even jump around to different systems here. And as you see, you're going to have all your games here, like the X-Men, the Simpsons, all that fun stuff. You can even hit select on your controller here and go to a particular game. So if you wanted something in P, you can click P, and then all of a sudden I jump down to the P games, Pac-Man, and the likes. So let's go back here. And so lots of arcade games there. Great fun. You can have unlimited tokens, right? You've always grown up wanting to beat these games. You can beat them now for free for unlimited tokens. So Atari 2600, 5200, 7800, it's pretty much most of the games there. Atari Lynx, most of the games there. Jaguar, you have 64 games. If you notice here, most games don't have video snaps. It's just the picture here. Some have videos, some don't. Depends on the system. So that is kind of a hodgepodge in that regard. Sufami Turbo, this is where like a bunch of games are thrown in here. There's like some Super Nintendo games in here, all kinds of stuff. It's just kind of a weird mix. They have Wonder Swan Color, Coleco at 146. We have Commodore 64, 6,500 games. So this is where like a lot of this stuff, there's a lot of bloat in these things, and that's how they get it to 50,000 games. But it's still it's still a lot. And don't forget, there's still the Launchbox. This isn't holding all the Launchbox games as well. So there's really closer over 50,000 games. So here's some other systems. This is just Descent, one game, MSX 1, 2, and 3. You can see the games there. Windows, this is Plants vs. Zombies. But remember, in this particular build, you have Play Night. You have a whole different front-end system that has Cuphead, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Dead Cells, and the like. So TurboGrafx 16, nice collection here, 298. A lot of games here. And TurboGrafx CD, 155 games. So especially if you're into these particular games, which were hard to get, especially if you're in the US, you can now play a lot of them. SuperGrafx 316. You notice this one has a video, right? And then when you go in, the games actually have videos too. So some are more squared away than others. That's why I say it's kind of a hodgepodge here. A lot of people like getting these builds and just, you could add your own games to it. You could delete the games. You could just take the games off onto your own build. It's up to you what you want to do with a build like this. So here's another. This is a rough, in my opinion, very rough here. There's not 1,900 NES games. There's a mix of import games, export games, some hack games in here as well. But again, if you just wanted Mario, you can go ahead and you can even just type it in here and type in Mario with your controller. I'm doing this with my controller here, and go and find all the Mario games. Hit that, and here you go. Super Mario World, Super Mario USA. You get some, so those are like some Japanese titles. Super Mario Bros. 6 is a homebrew game, I'm sure. Super Mario Bros. 3, though, is the original Super Mario. And then 2, and then you have the Duck Hunt Super Mario combo game. You got the just single NES game. You got Super Mario Arcade Classic Series. So, and then you got your Dr. Mario, right? So it's going to have everything you want, but plus a lot of bloat. So keep that in mind. So Game Boy, again, a lot of bloat. You know, there really should only be about 900 games here. There's a lot of Japanese imports in here as well. But for example, if you just want a Pokemon, you can go down to P here, and then they're going to have your Pokemon yellow, your red, and your blue. You just got to go down to PO, and then they'll be there. Oh no, I haven't skipped them yet. PO, we're just about there. There they are. Boom, 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 and boom. Okay, Super Nintendo. So here's probably one of the cleanest collections on this entire build. Look at that. All the box art is there, and there's no Japanese games mixed in. Oh, I just saw one. But one. Okay. But it's pretty clean, right? If they could just do this for every collection, it would be pretty sick. And wouldn't take a lot of work either. Super Game Boy, Satellaview 123, Virtual Boy, pretty much all of them. Nintendo 64 does have all of them, but it also has some Japanese games mixed in here as well. But it does have all your N64 games. And because this is being emulated on a PC, as long as your PC is somewhat decent, a lot of these games run great. I will be playing Killer Instinct later in this video. Game Boy Color, similar story to Game Boy, a lot of fluff in there, things like that, but it's going to have your Pokemons, your Marios, things like that. Same with Game Boy Advance. You're going to have these Nickelodeon games in the beginning, these 2-in-1 game packs. There's a lot of just random games for this system. It's going to have all that fluff involved. 2800 is just ridiculous. There really should only be about 900, 1,000 games here. Pokemon Mini 43 MSU is enhanced Super Nintendo soundtrack games. They're really fun to try. Beats of Rage, a lot of these are like homebrew games, things like that. Keyboard and mouse work great for them, or controller. Ports, these are going to be some shareware games, shareware Minecraft, Doom, some puzzle games. Scum VM, this is going to be your Day of the Tentacle, your one of my favorite games is Full Throttle, and you can use that with a mouse and keyboard or a controller. Atomic Wave. So these are some great arcade games. Dolphin Blue is amazing. Extreme Hunting is cool with a light gun. Some good racing games. Check those out. You got 24. SG-1000, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis. Again, with the Sega Genesis, you're going to have some mixed in there as well. Some Mahjong games, it looks like. All kinds of stuff. Game Gear, similar story with the mix-in. Sega CD. You know, it's actually a decent set on the Sega CD. So check out Terminator on there. Check out Sonic CD. Genesis 32X, pretty much all of them. It's an easy set to do, right? There's not that many games. Naomi, 54 games. So if you like Dreamcast, check out Naomi. Now remember, there's no Dreamcast in this particular retro bat. You have to go into Launchbox to access the Dreamcast games. ZX Sinclair, so this is where they bloat it with games, almost 8,200 games there. Neo Geo and Neo Geo CD, so it's going to have your Final Fights, it's going to have your Aero Fighters, it's going to have your Metal Slugs, all those fun arcade games are going to be there. Neo Geo regular, Pocket, and then Color as well, and then Supervision. I did want to jump into here really quick, the Retro Bat, to just show you all the different emulators. The Nintendo Switch emulator is installed, the Xbox 360 is installed, the Virtual Pinball emulator, Techno Parrot for arcade games, Sega Model 2 and Sega Model 3 are installed. The Nintendo Switch emulator, the PlayStation 3 emulator, the Dreamcast emulator, Nintendo 64, PS2, and PS1, including Duck Station are installed here. Dolphin, Demu, Daphne, Citra, Simu, all of them on here. So if you want to add your own games or you just have a hard time getting these emulators working, a lot of that stuff is done for you already. Don't forget, you can change your user interface at any point. I really like this theme, but within this theme, you can change it to look like all kinds of things. So this is like a hyperspin coin. You got coin ops details. You got Netflix. You could even do like boxes over here. Just to give you an idea what that looks like, you click into a system, and now there's like a bunch of boxes, right? So you can really mess around with the way a theme looks, and then you can download more themes. So easy to do. Let's check out Pegasus over here. What does that look like? Okay, so interesting. So all kinds of different themes, and it's just at a click of a button you can change all that. Let's do tiles detailed. So there you go. You got tiles with details on them. So a lot of fun stuff, and then you can go to updates and downloads and just download some more themes. Look at that. Available. There's all these themes I can just go ahead and download that look awesome. So RetroBat, shout out to the RetroBat. This has nothing to do with the people selling this hard drive. RetroBat and the community did this. So this Launchbox definitely looks like it's configured differently. I also was able to get Big Box to work. You can, once you buy your license, it comes unlicensed, but once you buy your license, you can run Big Box in here. And all games you can see at the bottom here, 6,100 games. 3DO, I think these were in Launchbox already, or in RetroBat. So we saw those. In Nintendo 64, we saw those already. Nintendo DS was not in RetroBat though, and you absolutely could put it in there. In case you guys are wondering, we're just going to kind of zoom through these so you can see what games are included. But all the artwork is here. But yeah, the DS, wow, not very many, 71. So they definitely like trim the fat there. 1,700 NES games. This was on RetroBat. We already saw that. GameCube, we got 502 GameCube games. So let's just have a look at those. Huge GameCube collection. This was the case on the 5 terabyte as well. So it looks like they're not really trimming it too much down on the GameCube. So have a quick look at these. And I played a few GameCube games and they all launched just fine. Some of the games I think you're going to have a hard time playing, though, like the karaoke games and things. You can absolutely configure a microphone or like Guitar Hero, stuff like that. You can configure that stuff, but it's not as plug and play as some of these other games. But I like GameCube. I like a big GameCube collection because they're so expensive, right? The GameCube was not out forever. A lot of these releases didn't make a lot of them, so they're fairly rare. And that's just going to get worse and worse as time goes on. So this is a nice thing to have, especially if you want to actually play these games. So Nintendo Switch, wow, it does have a Nintendo Switch, and I played these games last time on the last build. I didn't actually play any on this. Wow, it has Zelda Tears of the Kingdom already. All right, well, I'm sure you guys want me to play that, right? See if it actually works, because that's pretty new there. Nintendo Wii, very little. But here's the thing with the Wii is the controls are, and the Wii U, the controls are really meant for a Wii remote or the gamepad there. So I'm not too upset. It looks like they might have skimped out there, which is fine. That's a good one. Dreamcast, over 300 games. We'll do a quick scroll through there. And then I want to, while I'm scrolling, I want to talk about the next couple systems. Sega Genesis, we already looked at in RetroBat. Sega Saturn, I don't think we looked at. We'll have to look at that. And then you got PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4, and PSP we'll have to look at. And then the last category here on the left side is Super Nintendo. We will go ahead and skip that because we already looked at that in RetroBat. It has all those games. So Sega Saturn first, only 100 games. This is similar to GameCube in my opinion, where like really expensive games. And you don't want to scratch them up, so playing them this way is definitely a way to do it. PS1, 447. The games I played had sound in them. I didn't test every single game, though. So some people do save space by removing the soundtracks on these PSP discs or PlayStation discs, PS1 discs. And so your mileage may vary there. But looks like a lot of sports games. Some artwork missing, but mostly here. That's a lot. 447. That'll keep you occupied. PS2, we got 527. That's a lot of PS2 games. So this can run great. As far as PS2, it does help to have a dedicated graphics card. So you might need a little bit better of a computer for these particular games. As far as, something within the last 5-10 years with a dedicated graphics card. Now, some of these new CPUs with the built-in GPU are pretty powerful, so that's possible as well. But if you had like even an old Dell and you slap a little PCI graphics card in there, like a 15 series or something, that would run really well. PS3, so only 21 games there. There you go, right on your screen. And then PS4, which my understanding is these are the PC variants. But Last of Us Part 1 is on there. Resident Evil 2, 4. There you go. WRC 8. Sony PSP. So I think a lot of these are PSP minis if you look at them. So they're definitely saving some space here by putting minis. But there are some that are not minis, as you're seeing as well. So keep that in mind. This is another system. I'd put this with, the other, the GameCube and Sega Saturn. That some of these games are ridiculously priced on the collectors. So another system that is nice to be able to emulate and not scratch the discs. So 460. Yeah, see, they got Need for Speed, they got Pro Street, they got Rivals. I think I saw God of War up there. So you still got Prince of Persia's are on here. So you still got quite a few, Ridge Racers on there. Silent Hill. I always forget, is this one worth as much as the one on the Wii? I forget. I know Silent Hill is one of those games where it's ridiculous how much it costs. All right, Twisted Metal's on there. The Warriors. So as far as the Nintendo Switch emulator, yes, it works, and you can play Zelda. I just had to change my controller there really quick to the right input on my computer. And then, again, depends on how powerful your computer is going to be. My computer has a 3070 Ti in it. Now, here's the hard drive you actually get. It is a Toshiba 4TB refurbished. And I don't know if you saw on an earlier screen, I showed that it really only is 3.6 terabytes of available space. Now, let's get into the emulation performance here, starting with Nintendo 64. All the Nintendo 64 is going to run really great. As long as you have a decent computer, you're going to be able to run GoldenEye, you can run this, Killer Instinct, many, many more. You should have no issues with the whole Nintendo 64. When it comes to Sega Saturn, you're going to have a little bit more graphical tiers and things. You get a couple of those in N64, and a lot of that has to do with the emulator itself, less than your computer. And you can always kind of mess around with those emulators a little bit if you wish. Here's Elder's Ring. This is what people really want to see is PC performance. I'm running this at, the high res, super high res, almost 4K, whatever's right before 4K and after between 4K and 1080p. And it ran great, no problem. But the mileage will vary based on whatever computer you're running on. A game like this will run on pretty much any computer ever. You really don't need much to run these little MAME arcade games. And there's all sorts of fun games, platformers like this, Simpsons, X-Men, etc., all at your fingertips. And you just hit select on your controller, it inserts more coins, and you're gaming as long as you want. It's really great on a game like this where the boss can take a lot of coins, to kill. So a lot of those boss battle games where, you always die at the boss and need a lot of continues, this could be great for you. But like Alien vs. Predator, this, X-Men, many others are great. So now we're on GameCube, and this is Metroid Prime, and as you see, it's running great full screen. The emulators were fairly well set up, I have to say. They had all my configurations, the controls were good, so for that's pretty nice. I think a lot of that has to do with Launchbox is just really easy to use, emulation performance great and good. Now a PlayStation 3 game for you. Again, this is going to require a graphics card on your computer. Nothing crazy, but a dedicated graphics card at least. It's going to go a long way with a game like this. But fun little game if you're into adventure games. I had never played it before, but runs really great. A lot of little puzzles you have to figure out. And, you do want to have that dedicated graphics card. Otherwise, this will lag or you won't be able to run it at full frames per second. All right, and then Dead Cells, running great, right? So it has Cuphead, it has Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a nice little PC platformer build. It also had Elder's Ring, so some good other games as well. That's Grand Theft Auto. So my final thoughts on this. Well, I agree with everyone. These are cheap hard drives, but once you buy them, you can copy them, you can put them on a nicer hard drive, and absolutely, like I say in every video, you're way better off building this yourself. There's Launchbox you can download on your own, you can find your own games, you can build this yourself, make sure all the settings are great, make sure all the text and all the formatting is correct, and only get the games that you want. Great. I highly recommend that. There are going to be some people interested in a build like this, though. And as far as I'm concerned, it's fine. It's not full of viruses. It works. And you saw what was on it. And so you make the decision. There's lots of builds out there, and typically they're going to charge you more the higher the terabyte space is, and then less the smaller it is. And then you're going to get the games and emulators to go with that accordingly, right? Depending on how much space. Newer systems take up more space, older systems take up less space. So all in all, if it's between the 4 terabyte and the 5 terabyte, I would just look at both videos and see where I wanted what, and if I could save a few bucks going with the 4 terabyte, I'd just go ahead and do that. If I wanted the whole full 5 and the price difference wasn't much, I'd just go ahead and go for that. People always ask me, is there an even better build out there? There are, but you're always going to be spending more money on those. Love it if this whole thing just ran on Launchbox. It was just came out of the box. Launchbox was the only platform. You had the Windows games in there. You had all the Retrobat games in there, and you had all the current Launchbox stuff in there. Like, wouldn't that just make it a lot easier, I guess? So you have little, things like that are just, you'd think it would make sense to fix, or like the duplicates, or making sure different regions are sorted correctly. But that's what you get when you get one of these currently, and I'm sure it's going to get better in the future. So your mileage may vary, but that's what I think. Let me know what you all think. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.